Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us for this training. My name is Mike McCann, and I am one of the instructional tech coaches in the Wentzville School District, and I work on the Holt side of the district.
Hi, I'm Amanda Moody, and I'm also one of the tech coaches, and I work with Timberland South, our Pierce Hall Alternative Program, and the Virtual Academy.
And I'm Samantha Hardesty Knoll, the third tech coach, and I cover the Liberty side of the district. Today we are putting together a series of videos for you to let you know how to use those basic tools inside of Google and how to help your students use those as well. I'd like to show you some basics in Google Chrome. So the first one that I'd like to show you is I'd like to show you how to make sure that you're logged in or how to add a user onto Chrome. I'm going to go to the upper right-hand corner, and you'll notice that I have my little user bubble. I'm going to click on this, and I can see that currently I'm logged in to the Chrome web browser. My sync is on. If I want to add somebody to this Chrome browser, I'm going to come down to the bottom, and I'm going to click Add. Once I click Add, I can add the account on there. It's going to ask me to pick an image, and I can click Add. And now I have logged into Chrome. The second thing that I want to show you on Chrome is I want to show you our WSD bookmarks. This is really a handy bookmark folder that gets to many very important places that we use in WSD. One of those places that I want to share with you today is a link called ClassLink. So I'm going to come all the way down to ClassLink. And once I'm on ClassLink, it is going to ask me to log in. I've logged in recently, so it remembers that it's me. You might see a We Are Wentzville and then a login with Google. And this shows you my ClassLink dashboard. So this is how I'm going to link out to the resources that I have available to me while I'm in network. Each student's ClassLink is going to look a little bit different based upon the resources that are available to them. However, it helps our students use their single sign-on with Google to get to our resources. That's called ClassLink. The next item that I want to bring to your attention is I want to show you how to pin a tab. So if I come and open up another tab, and I'm just going to go to our district's webpage. I also might want to mention to you right now that on our district webpage, you can also access ClassLink from there. So underneath the scrolling banner on the district webpage, there's some helpful links for you there as well. And one of them is going to be ClassLink. So if I always want to have the Wentzville webpage up and I don't want to accidentally close it, I can pin a tab. In order to pin a tab, I'm going to right click on that tab and I'm going to choose Pin. And you're going to notice that that tab slides over to the left-hand side. And now it does not have the X so that I can't easily exit off of it. This is a great tool to use with our students. If they're working on something and you're kind of afraid that they might shut it in the middle of it, like a test or something like that, you can pin the tab as well. The last thing that I'd like to share with you is I'd like to share with you using your bookmark bar. So my bookmark bar is going to rest right underneath where the URL or the address line is. And you'll notice to the right-hand side that there's an empty star. So if I would like to bookmark this site, I can simply click on the star and it adds it to my bookmark bar. And I'm going to click Done. Notice that I also can move this to a folder as well to kind of keep my bookmarks organized. I'm going to click Done. And now you'll notice that when the star is filled in, that this is one of my bookmarked URLs. If I come over to the right-hand side to the three dots, I can actually manage my bookmarks from here. So you'll notice now that I have all of my bookmarks as well, and I can manage my bookmarks from there. If I click on Bookmark Manager, that's going to show me all of my bookmarks. And within each one of those bookmarks, I have the ability to edit those bookmarks if I need to edit it at all, or I can also move those up and down so that I can organize my bookmark bar as well. And those are just some basics of Google Chrome.
Google Drive is probably one of the most utilized technological tools in the Wentzville School District. We teachers, administrators, students are constantly using Google Drive. So one of the things we wanted to cover in this video was just some of the basics of Google Drive, really the navigating of Google Drive, and then kind of the organization piece too, to both be able to help you organize your Google Drive, but also I have seen a lot of student Google Drives that are fairly unorganized, so maybe even help those kiddos you're working with. So very first thing, just talking about navigating Drive. The very first thing on the left-hand side, and I'm actually going to slide my picture over for a little bit, is on the left-hand side, you have a priority, My Drive, and shared drives. These are kind of the big three that people often reference. Priority is totally optional. What priority is anything you actually set up. So you can see here that you can create workspaces, and kids can do this as well. So maybe they want to create a workspace for each class they have, for social studies, for science. They can create a workspace, and what this does is this just gives you quick access to different files. So here's one I have about Apple stuff. Over here, I have one regarding new teacher orientation. So this is just think of it almost like bookmarks for Google Drive. My Drive is probably the most common spot people go. The items you've worked with most recently will just auto-populate up here in these grids. And then everything down below is really just organized alphabetically. Now you'll notice that I have mine set in a list view. A lot of people like to press this button right here and have it what they call a grid view. And what this does is this gives the folders a little different look, but really where people like this is because when you get down to individual files, you'll notice that you can actually see the file and what it looks like right on the screen. So that is, again, totally optional, however you choose. And it's just by clicking that button that you can change those settings. The last one down is the shared drives. And this is one where shared drives are created at the district level. And teachers, a lot of teachers will utilize these for things like, if I click on, we'll give you a couple examples here. This would be something where teachers would find their curriculum. So you can see here, I'm a member of the curriculum shared drive. There's also, we have a technology shared drive. So very specific items that teachers might utilize in there. Okay, if I move on down this list, there are a couple of these that I use regularly that I think is important for even kids to know. If their teacher shares something with them, then they can click on Shared with Me. And what this will pull is anything that anyone else has shared with me. So you can see here that I've had just today, right here, just today, I had this new phone reference sheet shared by Greg Lawrence to me. And then I actually had a teacher share a couple of different items with me. And so if a student knows that, oh, my teacher shared that with me, last week, they could go find that pretty easily right here. I use Recent all the time. Recent is just what it is. It's what you've opened today. So if I knew that, if I knew yesterday I opened my ITC dashboard, I know it will be somewhere near the top of the recents file. This could be very helpful for students because maybe they know they worked on a paper just a couple days ago, but they can't remember where they organized it in their drive. Go to recent, it'll be right there. Okay. And then really the last one is starred. And starred, some use, some don't. Basically, what this is if you right click. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a right click on a file. I get all these different options here, and you'll notice one of them it's going to say remove from starred. That's because it's already in starred. If this was not in starred, it would add a star to it. It would say add a star. And what that does is starred is just maybe these are things you constantly reference. So this 1920 iPad spreadsheet, I'm constantly referencing this. So I just put it in my starred and then I know it's one click away. So that's kind of this navigation side over here. And one of the things that I wanted to add that I think is important for students to do as well as our adults in the district. When you click on new, and Sam's going to go through some of the core apps here like this with you guys on some of the things you can do in there. I am a big fan of adding folders. Okay, this is where you do it. So if I click add a folder, it's just basically going to pop up, what do I want to name this? So I could say, we could do PD training videos. So I'm going to hit create, and then you'll see Google will zip me down, and now I have a folder called PD training videos. This is no different than having folders on a desktop of a regular PC. And this is just a way to organize. So I always encourage students to create a folder, even they create a 5th grade folder that eventually stuff just gets put into. And you can put folders inside of folders inside of folders. So that's something that can always be done as well. So this is Google Drive and kind of the quick navigation of it. The last piece I want to share with this is I want to talk about sharing in Google Drive. And this will kind of wrap up the navigating of Google Drive because sharing can sometimes get a little confusing. And so I want to just be able to show exactly what that looks like. So if I'm going to find a file down here. I just need a kind of a practice file that's owned by me. So here's one. This is a Google Slides presentation. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this share button up here. And this share button can be found in a number of different places. But I'm going to click share because what I really want to show is I want to show the screen that appears when this happens. And this pop-up right here, this is the really important piece here for sharing. So your options for sharing right here, you can type in specific people. So if I need a specific person to have this, such as Sam, I'm going to go ahead and click on her. And then it would allow me to send a message to her. It will automatically notify her, and it will give her access to this document. Over here, I can choose how much access she has. Do I want her to be able to edit this document? Do I want her to be able to comment on this document? Maybe I'm just looking for feedback on it. Or do I want her to only be able to view it? You can only look at this. You cannot edit it. You choose that per person. And then I would simply hit send, and she would get an email and instantly have access to this document. I'm actually going to hit back because I want to show one other piece here. There is an option down here that says get link. Okay. By default, it will always be restricted only to the people you've added with this link. Okay. This is the default setting. Okay. So what happens is when you click on it, as I just did, I'm actually going to I'm going to come back out of that. I'm going to actually do that. I'm going to do that again so I can show exactly what I wanted that to look like. So I'm going to actually click on a different topic here. Let's see. I got this is good here. I'm going to click on this one because this is going to show what I wanted to show for sharing. Down here where it says get link, when I click here, you'll see it says anyone on the internet can get this link. The difference between this kind of sharing and typing in someone's email address or just their name is this literally now anyone who gets this link. If I were to post this link out on the internet, anyone can look at this file, okay? We have some different choices when we turn on, this is called link sharing. Most of the time, what we end up using is we will have the Wentzville School District. So let's say you have a file that you need 30 different people to look at that all work in the district, but you don't want to necessarily go type in all of their email addresses. You can open this up to anyone in the Wentzville School District, and then you hit done. When you copy this link, anybody that's in the Wentzville School District, so that has a Wentzville account, they will be able to view this document. And notice here I have it set as viewer, not any of the other ones. So understanding how link sharing works is important. Obviously, if it's a private document that only one person needs to see, or only a certain amount of people need to see, then you would probably want to go ahead and type in their email addresses, so that way they are the only ones with access. In my case, for a lot of things, when I type up a how-to sheet on Google Meet, let's say, what I do is I go in and I change link sharing to anyone in the Wentzville School District, and then I send out that link because I want anyone in the district to have access to do that. So hopefully that gives you just a real quick kind of intro into the navigating Google Drive, how to share some things, and we will continue on with another topic here.
Let's take a look at Google's core suite of apps. You can get to the core apps in a couple different ways. I'm going to show you how to go into Google Drive. We're going to click on the New button. When we click on the New button, you'll see that you can create in the core Google apps of Docs, Sheets, and Slides. I'm going to go ahead and jump into a Google Doc where I have a sample student paper so I can show you some of those features in there. Notice up at the top we have our title. If you'd like to rename the title, you can click inside the title and you can rename it. Titles are automatically defaulted to untitled. So when you're working with students, it's always a good idea to help remind them to click into the title and to be able to add a title there as well. I want to show you that Google has a couple different modes that you can look at a paper in. So if this is my student's paper and I'm helping the student to be able to do some editing or to be able to do some revising, there's a couple different modes that I might want to look at this paper in. It is defaulted to be in editing mode, and editing mode allows me to type in it. Editing mode also allows me to add comments for the student. So if I am reading the paper, I might come down to the very first sentence. I might highlight it, and notice when I highlight it, over on the right-hand side, an icon pops up that allows me to add a comment. When I click on Add Comment, this is where I can add some feedback. So maybe I want my student to consider a stronger opening statement. What's nice about comments is that you can also add a URL. So if you want a student to be able to look at a YouTube video that might help correct something, you can include that into the comment as well. You can also use a plus sign, and that plus sign tags a student. So if I wanted to tag somebody in this, I'm going to click plus, and then let's just tag Amanda Moody in this. That way she is notified that she has a comment right there as well. So that plus sign allows us to do this. And then I can click comment, and now that comment's going to rest on the right-hand side. If I change modes and I go into suggesting mode is great for when you are going through and helping students revise or edit their papers. So if I want this entire paragraph, if my suggestion is to remove it for the students, I can highlight that paragraph. I'm going to press the delete key, and notice what it does when I press the delete key. In green, it crosses through that entire section, and then it puts what looks like a comment right next to it, and it gives a suggestion right next to the paper. That way, when the students see this paper, they're able to go through and they can accept the suggestion. So it will take that out if they accept the suggestion, or they can reject the suggestion. And then they can also add a reply on there as a commenting feature as well. Then the third mode that we're going to have inside of a Google Doc is we're going to have that viewing mode. And viewing mode is simply going to be able to allow us to read a final document as well. So 3 different modes inside of Google Docs to be aware of when you're working with students. I'm going to come back to my editing mode here as well. And now I'd like to show you some of the tools that are tucked into the tools section inside of Google Docs. These tools can be found in other core apps as well. Under tools, one of the tools that I'd like to point out is I'd like to point out voice typing. Voice typing is a great tool for our students who struggle to get their ideas down on paper. It allows them to speak their ideas and for it to translate it into text. So I'm going to put my cursor where I want that speaking to start at. That's important to know. And when I'm ready to turn on my voice typing, I simply click, and it's going to automatically use the microphone that's built into my computer to pick up my words and then to convert them over into text. Period. New line. Voice typing has come a long way in the past couple years. And a student could potentially type an entire paper without having to use the keyboard once. Period. New line. When I'm ready, I can turn my voice typing off, and it will go back to allowing me to utilize that keyboard as well. Note in my voice typing that I do have several languages that I can choose as well, so that is an option for us. Another feature inside of tools that I want to point out to you is I want to point out this Explore feature. And Explore is a really interesting tool that Google has provided in its core apps. And what's interesting about it is Explore works a little bit differently depending upon what app you're in. So if you are inside of a Google Doc and you click on Explore, it actually is going to help you with your research or inserting images into that document. So it read what was in the paper, and it divided it up into 3 topics. So this is actually, I'm going to click on motivation. And when I click on motivation, because I wasn't sure if it was in between motivation or psychology, you'll notice that it brings up a results tab that's all web results. So I can go through and I can look at more articles if I'm looking for more research. Or I can go to images and it will pull those images as well. So if I want to add this to the paper, I'm going to click on it and click insert, and that's going to add it to the paper. And then I can also look inside my Google Drive for things that relate to that topic that it detected while looking through my paper. So that is our Explore feature. What I really like about the Explore feature in Google Docs is it keeps the students inside of Google Docs instead of having them go to another tab and opening that up and doing the research from there or the image searches from there as well. Now, many of these tools are exactly the same if you're using another core product like Slides or Sheets. So I want to jump over to Slides, and I want to show you just a couple of key features inside of Slides. One of them is super simple, but it's a great tool that we like to utilize, and that's the speaker notes. So in our speaker notes, one of the great ways that we can use our speaker notes is we can help students scaffold what they need to include in the speaker notes. So think of the speaker notes as a great place to maybe put directions or to put like a very simple outline of what they need to include on the slide. So if I was having my students work on this slide and I wanted to let them know what they needed to include, I would say that on this slide, we want to have a title, we want to have an image, and we want to have the author. And that way, when my students coming in to work on it, they can look down at these speaker notes for additional directions as well. I'm going to go to the next slide real quickly because one of the biggest menus inside of Google Slides is the insert menu. So it's very important that we know all of the things that we can insert into a Google slide. Oftentimes students are going to be asked to insert an image. I can choose to upload an image from my computer if I have something saved locally, or I can search the web. Once again, kind of going back to what we saw in the Explore part in a Google Docs, and I'll come back to that in a second. We can also use the camera. So we can use the built-in camera, and students could include something in the slide using their camera. So if the teacher wanted them to show their work, they could use the camera and then they could hold up a picture to the camera and include that. Let's go to search the web. And once again, I just typed in Google here because I'm wanting to add just an image of Google. But what I really like about this image search inside of Core Apps is it does a type of image search where it is searching for images that don't violate copyright policy, which is just another layer, another lesson for our students to learn when they're searching for images, that they can't just grab any image off the internet that they want to grab, but they have to seek those that have usage rights. So I'm going to click on my image and I'm going to click insert, and that's just simply going to bring that into my Google Slides. And of course, students can move that around wherever they want to. So those are just some key features inside of the core apps of Google.
Most important communication tool we have in the Wentzville School District is Gmail. We utilize Gmail for all of our email services. And so today, what I thought I would go over is really two topics that I think are really important, mainly focusing on kiddos here, and how we can help them in these two areas when it comes specifically to email. Because I think email is one of those areas where sometimes we just assume people know how to email and how to organize, and that may not always be the case. In the Wentzville School District, students' email accounts become active in the 6th grade. So this is really good in that those early middle school years, that we teach kids about organization, about email etiquette, those things, because for a lot of them, it may be the very first time they're using this. So let's talk about some of the basics on that. I'm going to slide myself over again like I did last time. And so over on the left-hand side of Gmail, you have what are called labels. And a lot of folks may only have, and especially students, they may only have a few here. You will notice I have a few more than a few. I kind of really like labels. I tend to label everything. So what this does for me is if I know I had emails regarding the Google Summit that I presented at, chances are they're sitting in there because I labeled them there. So how do you create a label? Well, one thing to note, if you're seeing your Hangouts like this, which sometimes this can take up a lot of the space right here, what you can do is simply just click on your Hangout down here, and this goes away, giving you a lot more room to work with. If I scroll all the way to the bottom, which probably won't be as far for me, or it might not be as far for you since I have so many labels, and then I click, I'm going to have to click on this button More right here. The very bottom option is Create New Label. This is something I think kids should do right away. And really it's it's however they want to do it. For me, maybe this is, I'm going to just do it by teacher. So let's say I have McCann for social studies, and then I'm just going to go ahead and create that label. You will see here in my labels, if I scroll up here, I have a McCann Social Studies label. So now at this point, when I get an email, either from Google Classroom or just the teacher specifically, I could simply take the email and I could drag it right on over into my McCann Social Studies folder, and then that email will be there waiting for me when I need it. So I think having that organization piece is really helpful. The other piece of email that I think is important is when composing an email. This is one where in the settings of an email, you can go and you can set up a signature. So you can see I have a signature already set up there. So I encourage all employees to set up a signature. So that way when someone receives an email, they know where you work, what building, some contact information. And that can all be done from the settings of Gmail. But one of the things I think is really important helping kids with is sometimes they don't always realize that they are addressing a teacher most often when they're emailing, in school. And so things like dear can go a long way. A dear Mr. McCann, or even just the fact that there is a salutation of Mr. McCann would be something. The other thing I always like to encourage students to do is this is a great place to practice their writing skills. Sometimes we tend to fall into if we're a generation that's used to texting and doing some of that communication, things can start to look like this for the assignment. And instead of writing it out, we might use numbers. I often see a lot of emails that have zero punctuation. So I think this is just a great time to work with kiddos when they're developing an email, even though it's going to their teacher, that their teacher knows them, they talk to them every day. Still an important skill, I think, to learn. So those are the things in the email, in Gmail, that I think can be really helpful for kids. And as you're working with them, and as kids are learning how to advocate for themselves and ask their teacher a question, there's some great teaching opportunities there.
Talk about Google Classroom. There's a couple different ways to get to Google Classroom. You can use the WSD bookmark and go to ClassLink and jump onto Classroom from there. Or you can open up a new tab and you can type in classroom.google.com. After you've typed that in once you type in the first couple letters, it automatically remembers, and so it'll take you to Classroom. So we're inside my classroom right now as a teacher, and we're in my classes page where you can see all the classes that I belong to or the classes that I teach. I'm going to jump into one of my demo classes just so that you can see the overall layout of a Google Classroom. You have 4 sections in a Google Classroom. You have the stream. The stream is going to be the front page. It's what students see first. And inside that stream is where a teacher can make announcements. A teacher can also show if work's been posted in the classwork section of that stream. The stream is also a place where students can pose questions or they can share something with the class as well. Teachers have the ability to turn that on or off. The section that you'll spend the most time in is classwork. And this is where our students are going to see their assignments. So you'll notice that in classwork, I can see the different assignments that my teacher has posted. I also can see the topics, and the topics will rest on my left-hand side. So I can jump through topics and it'll take me to that section as well. So it kind of builds that navigation. There's a people section, and the people section is simply going to show the teachers and the students. And then there's also a grading section as well. So in my classwork section, as a teacher, I have created this assignment called Count Your Money. And what I'd like to do is we're going to jump over to a student view, and we're going to take a look at that assignment from the student view. So I am in my student view right now, and I'm going to come to that assignment, Count Your Money. I'm going to click on Count Your Money. When I click on it, it expands the details of the assignment. So the students are able to see the details of their assignment. When they want to view their assignment, they're going to click on View Assignment. And now my assignment, I'm able to actually see my work, and I'm also able to see if there's any private comments as well. I'm going to click on my assignment again, and this is going to bring up the actual assignment that I'm to work on. And I've already completed that first problem, but I can come in and I can complete that assignment. When I'm finished with my assignment, I'm going to come back, and very important, I need to click on that green Turn In button. When I click on the green Turn In button, it sends the assignment to the teacher side so that a teacher can now look at that assignment. So let's go back to my teacher side, and let's take a look at this Count Your Money assignment. I'm going to click on Count Your Money, and notice now I have one assignment turned in. So the student submitted it to me, and I was able, as a teacher, to be able to see that. Let's jump back to the student view really quickly, and let's go back to this back to school demo. Just want to show under that classwork section that this is where a student would view their work. So if I click on View My Work, you can get kind of a breakdown, if you will, of the assignments that you have, whether it's missing or I've turned it in. So that's a good place to help our students look to see what assignments they still have as well.
Systems that we utilize in the Wentzville School District is called Canvas. And Canvas is really reserved for our students in grades 6 through 12. And it is very, very full featured. Teachers have tons of abilities with Canvas, from everything from giving quizzes to having assignments submitted. And so I wanted to show you really from a student perspective what students see in Canvas, and really just so you could hopefully help students navigate if they're new to Canvas, especially maybe it's their 6th grade year and their teachers are just using Canvas for the first time. So I'm currently logged in to a student account. This is actually my daughter's account, so you could see kind of from that student perspective what it looks like. This splash page right here, and I should probably take a step back. If you notice, this is our link for Canvas. As long as students access Canvas from ClassLink, they will get to where they need to go. One of the problems we have from time to time is students will want to go to canvas.com and line in, and log in. That actually doesn't work. They need to be at wentzville.instructure.com to make sure and get into their courses. We have our own special link for Wentzville. Once they're in, this is called the dashboard, and this is probably the most common place kids find themselves because this is where all published courses will lie. If they are in a current course and the teacher has published it, teachers have to publish their courses before kids can see them. All of them will appear here as these cards. So if there were currently 6 courses, there would be 6 different cards sitting right here. Right now, there's currently just one, and I want to show you that. Obviously, students also, there is messaging in Canvas that would be down here in the inbox, but they would also get an email we went over email in a previous video, they would also get an email if an instructor sends a message through Canvas. But you can message through Canvas. They can keep track of their calendar in here. And then this courses button just shows all the courses they've ever been enrolled in. If this is a senior, they're going to see all the courses they've been in really since the 6th grade. So I'm going to go ahead and click into this course. And what you see here is in this, so this is what we consider a sandbox course. So this is just kind of a course I use to test things out with. And I put my daughter in here so I could show the student side of it. This is a home page here. And so what'll happen is kids will land on their home page. But then what's over here on the left is usually pretty helpful to know for students. These are links within the Canvas course that kids can click on to get to different things. Modules is the one I wanted to show off today because that is a lot of Canvas courses. Most of those that I know utilize modules. When you click on a module, you can see here, I've done a couple examples. A lot of teachers do something like this, where they have a date range, and then everything that falls under that date range gets put in that module. Some teachers, they will do a topic. They'll do modules by topic. So here we have the topic of Rome and everything that would fall under there. And remember, this is just what we call a sandbox. So that's why some of these don't make a whole lot of sense in here, as to they don't necessarily relate back. But this is kind of the basic layout. One of the main things students need to know how to do, other than just navigating in Canvas, is they need to know how to turn assignments in. So right here, you can see I have a couple things going on. I have a how are you doing? This is a discussion board. And so I'm going to click on this, and this is actually really simple. When I click on this, you can see that there is the teacher posted this question, and really it just automatically brings up for the students, they need to type here, and then they can post their reply. They can do things like insert. So maybe they need to put an image in there that would go with their post. And all of this is just a basic editor, just like you would see in a Google Doc. But they would go ahead and post the reply and then click post reply. And that would submit this type of assignment for a student, this discussion board. I'm going to go back to modules, and I'm going to show another example. And this example is here's a paper turn-in. So a student has an assignment to do. Now I will tell you, as the teacher, I really didn't put any description in here. So typically what you would see on this screen is a teacher would have the full description right here of what the assignment is. They might have a link to maybe a link to a Google Doc explaining what it is. But essentially what will happen is when the student completes the assignment, they can click submit assignment. And the teacher predetermines what they can turn in here, what type of file. In this case, I told the students they could either give me a website URL or they could do a file upload. In this case, maybe I want to do a file upload. So this would be just a paper I wrote, in any writing program, and I just want to upload that file. Maybe I have it as a PDF and I want to upload that. I can do that. Probably one of the most used features, though, is if I click Google Doc, you can see here it says authorize Google Drive access. Now, I've actually not done that yet on my daughter's account, but once students do that one time, this will pull their Google Drive. This is the most common thing done here because most of the time students are utilizing Google Drive to work on those assignments. They would simply find the document in their Google Drive and then submit it this way. And once they submit, the teacher can then go in and grade those items. So Canvas is extremely full-featured. That was just a super quick navigation and how to turn in a basic assignment, because I think those are two critical pieces that students need to learn about with Canvas right away. That teachers will want them to know immediately. So hopefully that helps just give you a basic understanding of what kids need to look for in Canvas.
Thank you for learning with us today. If you ever run into any technical issues, you can email help desk at helpdesk@wsdr4.org.
If you have any questions about anything you learned today or want more resources, also check out our WSD Tech Hub. You can get to the Tech Hub in the WSD Bookmarks folder, or you can get to it by going to tinyurl.com/WSD Hub. There you'll find all sorts of resources by category, so check it out.
And one of the things we wanted to end with was one of the things you'll see in our district are what we call our 4 Ps. And that's protect your information, protect your password, protect your footprint, and protect your friends. All of this just focuses around online safety. Thank you again so much for watching with us today. I hope you have a great one.